When you get this train right behind you, doing the screen. Try to save my life. Yes. No, not
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention up here for a few moments. First of all, I just want to welcome you and thank you all for being here. This is wonderful. It is so wonderful to see so many people here who are wanting to be educated and informed and be able to make good decisions, to be good voters. That we need more of that in our community. So I am glad to have you here. Thank you for your patience. As Abby Inn has been short-staffed and as we have had a little bit more of a turnout than we were even expecting, that is just such a wonderful problem to have. So I'm just so glad you're here. Before we get started, I wanted to recognize some of our electeds who are here today. And I think I caught everybody. I think I've got everybody. But if I'm forgetting somebody, everybody help me with that, okay? So let's see. First of all, we have Mayor Smith from Springdale. Yes. Yep. And Mayor Randall from St. George. We have Lowry Snow, our legislator from 74. We have Lorene Cox, our UFRW president. And finally, we have Lisa Sandberg, the chair of our Washington County Republican Party. Oh, and Mayor Nielsen from Washington, of course.
And how about Jimmy?
Ready to go, right here. And Mayor Hart from Ivans, thank you.
How about Jimmy Hughes, our city council?
And Jimmy Hughes on our city council,
Yeah.
thank you. And Chris Staley is on the
From these guys in
Chris Staley from the Washington City Council, and Kurt Ivey from the Washington City Council. Who else? Oh, and Nanette Billings from the City Council. I'm so sorry. You're running for different spots. Okay, who else did I miss?
These politicians.
Okay, I'm so glad you're all here. Okay, and then we have a number of, we're here to focus on our candidates for mayor, but we also have a number of people here who are running for city council spots. So if you are running for a city council spot, if you'll just take a second and stand up so that we can, I didn't even dare try to make this list. So we've got Greg Aldred for St. George. We've got Krista Hinton for Santa Clara. We've got Natalie Larson from St. George. And Nanette's on the city council. Are you running for both? Oh, for mayor. Okay, perfect. So let's give everybody a round of applause. We're just so glad you're here. Okay, just a quick little bit of club business now. The Utah Federation of Republican Women is having its convention on October 23rd. And Washington County has 8 more delegate slots for members of our club to go and represent Washington County Republican women. So I need to technically we're taking nominations from the floor, but generally that means raise your hand and volunteer in our group. So are you volunteering? And it is in Salt Lake City this is the place.
And you have 11.
Hart. We've got 3 from the executive. We've got 8 left. So Joanne. Oh, name the 3. Okay, from the executive, we have Cheryl Snow and Krista Hinton and Kristen Clark. And then we are adding Joanne to the list. Will you write this down? Okay. Joanne, that's 4. So we have 7 more spots. Come on. I know you all want to go. It's going to be fantastic. Lorene, can you tell us right as you took a bite? Let's have Lorene tell us about a speaker or 2 that we'll be having. It should be great. So
Can you just tell us what it is again?
It's the Utah Federation of Republican Women Biennial Convention. This is where you're going to elect a person to replace me. I've been doing it 4 years, and it has been such a it's been such an honor, and I love all of you. But we're going to have some really great speakers. I have a passion for one of the bills that's being trying to be passed federally. And Chris Stewart and Burgess Owens have both signed on to the bill, but Downwinders money the RECA bill will end next year. And of course, I'm really passionate about that. My husband is a Downwinders, not a survivor, unfortunately. And I'm really passionate about that. I lost my grandfather from Downwinders, I lost my dad, and now my husband. And this bill needs to pass. This is something that's going to be discussed at our meeting. We're also going to have Chris Stewart talk about the Afghanistan debacle that's been going, catastrophic stuff going on. But we've also got a panel we're working on. There is a group of elected officials and women at the state level who formed a PAC. Nina, what's that called? Republican Women Lead. That's the PAC. And Krista actually got some money out of them, and they're new, and Natalie, and raise your hand, all of you that did. So this is new, and we don't know much about it, so we're bringing in a panel to discuss this. But mostly this meeting will be to elect new leadership. And we'll be discussing a resolution, and hopefully it'll be passed by our group keeping the nine Supreme Justice Court. So this is October 23rd. It'll be at, this is the Place State Park, Heritage Park. And you all need to know that because of Cleo, this was donated to us. Cleo has, and it's about $1,000 that she has worked really hard to, and we love Cleo. She's been so good to us. So anyway, we will have it at the Pack House, and it will include lunch. So it'll be 10 to 2. I'd love all of you to come. We need 11 people from Washington County. You are our largest group in the state. I'm so proud of you. Anyway, there you go. Okay. Okay. So 6 more. We've got 6 more. Jennifer, Nielsen, Nelson. I'm sorry.
Is it one day?
It's 1 day. Yes. Just a Saturday. Are you volunteering to go, Kathy? Okay. See me afterwards. So we've got. Do I have any others who are interested before I send it out by email? Mariana? Okay. Okay. Who got you? Okay. Okay. Next item of business, really quick. Sorry to take this time. You will find at your table, over the last year, I have had so many people come to me and say, I want to be involved, give me a job, give me an assignment, I really want to be involved and do more. So what you'll find, and I'm sorry that the type is so small, that was unintentional. What you'll find at the table is I am working on putting together some more functional committees for this coming year so that I can get more people involved. So if all of our members can take a moment today before you leave and go ahead and fill out this little form. I'm going to read it to you since it's tiny, okay? It says, we need you to join a WCRW committee for 2022. And then it gives you a line to put your name. And then it gives you can circle 1 or more committees that you can sign up for. You can be on the Public Relations and Communications Committee, the Legislative and Campaign Committee, the Membership Outreach Committee, the Community Engagement and Education Committee, the Record Keeping Committee, the Bylaws Committee, and the Fundraising Committee. So if you can all take a second and go ahead and just fill this out really quickly. If you leave it on the table, I will find it. Just don't leave it on your plate so it gets cleaned up. Leave it on the table. Or you can hand it directly to me afterwards. And I'm just so thrilled that so many people want to be more involved. Okay, with all of that business finished, we are going to begin our program today with a prayer by Lisa Sandberg, our party chair. We will follow that by the Americanism and Pledge by Sharon Simmons, who's always hard to find because she's so short. Okay, we're because we had so much business beforehand, we are skipping our new member welcome, and we'll do that next month. We will then move on to So we're going to change our order just a little bit there. So after the Americanism and Pledge, I'm going to introduce Nina Barnes, who's going to take just a few minutes to give us a little bit of education, and then we will be moving on to our candidates and hearing from them. So we'll go to that point.
Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful to be gathered together today in this Republican Women Club and luncheon to be able to meet the candidates for mayor for our respective towns and cities. Thankful for these candidates' willingness to campaign and serve, and ask you to bless their campaigns, that they'll be able to find joy in all that they do. We're thankful for this food that we had today provided by Abby Ann, and for Carrie and all she does to make this luncheon so special for us each month. We're thankful for the leadership of WCRW and ask you to bless Kristen and her executive committee and board, that they will be able to continue to do a great job. We're so grateful for America and being able to live in this country, and we ask that you help us to keep it free and wonderful. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
I have an excerpt from a radio address by our 30th president, Calvin Coolidge, on the duties of citizenship from November 3rd, 1924. Quote, "Ours has been described as a government of public opinion, but all the influence of public opinion, all the opportunity for self-government through the rule of law, through the rule of the people, depends upon one single factor, that is the ballot box. If the time comes when our citizens fail to respond to their right and duty, individually and collectively, intelligently and effectively at the ballot box on election day, I do not know what form of government will be substituted for that which we at present have the opportunity to enjoy. But I do know it will no longer be a rule of the people. It will no longer be self-government. The people of our country are sovereign. If they do not vote, they abdicate that sovereignty, and they may be entirely sure that if they relinquish it, other forces will seize it. And if they fail to govern themselves, some other power will rise up to govern them. The choice is always before them, whether they will be slaves or whether they will be free. The only way to be free is to exercise actively and energetically the privileges and discharge faithfully the duties which makes freedom. It is not to be secured by passive resistance. It is the result of energy and action." Unquote. Close quote. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Okay, sorry to make you wait. I left my phone up here when I should have been searching for what I needed to find. So I have asked Nina Barnes to take just a couple of minutes first before we get started with our main event. The reason I have asked her to do that is because I find two things often happens when people are running for an office. Number one, they get questions like, for example, you're running for mayor of Leeds. What are you going to do about the interstate highways in Hawaii? Or, they get questions that are just off, that have nothing to do with their roles. And so we've got your questions in the box, and we have a little committee. They're going to look at every single question. They're going to give priority to the questions that actually have to do with the job of the mayor and with what the government, the city government does. So that's number one. The second goes right along with it. I have seen more than once somebody who has done a fantastic job in one elected position move into another elected position and not necessarily know, they were great at the one, but they didn't know what the other one necessarily entailed. And the voters could have known that. So that's the two reasons that I've asked Nina to give us a little bit of education, little bit of information today. The reason I asked Nina is because, first of all, she is a member of our club, but she is also experienced in matters of city government. Okay, so I'm going to read a short bio for Nina. Nina R. Barnes has long been a vital contributor to her community and prides herself on being an advocate and voice for women, children, and families. She was appointed to the Utah State Board of Regents in 2012. Nina founded the Iron County Republican Women in 2019 and serves as a vice chair on the Utah Federation of Republican Women. She served 8 years as a member of the Cedar City Council. Over the years, she has been passionate about parks, recreation, trails, and led the building and creation of Cedar City Rotary Veterans Park, and served on the Cedar City Parks, Trails, and Recreation Committee. So right there, you can see why I asked her, because Parks and Recreation, that is definitely a role of city government, okay? She was on the Downtown Redevelopment Agency and was also the Park Discovery General Coordinator. Additionally, she has been a successful businesswoman owning and operating K&9 Investments since 1989. Nina earned a bachelor's degree from BYU and a master's of public administration from SUU, where she is currently an adjunct professor in the political science department teaching identity politics. She and her husband, Keith, a local judge, have 5 children. So thank you, Nina.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here today. First of all, first order of business is I need a professional candy hander-outer, and there's only one in the room that I really know of who's a professional. Who would you think that would be? Who has probably handed out more? Oh, probably Krista, but next to Krista, Lowry, Representative Lowry. Well, you're just going to pass them my candy right now. So, yeah, for you to share. That's the kind of guy you are. Anyhow, so they're answering questions. You're the prize holder. So with that, thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to talk to you a little bit about the role of government. I love this topic. And so it's perfect that I would share some of my thoughts about this with you. And I also love that President Kristen asked me, because as many of you know, I haven't lived in this community very long. 2 years, that's not very long, right? But as I was thinking last night in bed, I bet many of you have also not lived in this community very long. And I don't even know how to define very long. Do you? What makes you from St. George? How many of you guys are from St. George? Raise your hand. Okay, what does that mean? Mayor Randall, what does that mean to be from St. George? Those that raise their hands, probably. So you can see by those who didn't raise their hands that the majority of us in the room are probably move-ins. So I really love looking at the demographics and what we represent in this town and what this city really is about. So with that, I wanted to ask you guys some questions, because I think you probably know more about the role of government than I do. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and Representative Snow, unless he delegates, is going to hand candy out to those who answer correctly. So with that, I want someone to tell me, what is a town? What makes a town? Anyone know?
Less than 1,000 people.
Thank you, prize winner. What makes a city?
There you go.
It's really hard. Good. Okay, no prizes. I don't have it on that. What amount of the population of Utah lives in cities or towns? 90%. Lisa, you got it. Lisa did. How many municipalities are in the state of Utah? No. Close. You get a prize. That's so close. 253 are how many municipalities are in Cedar. What percentage of the population lives on the Wasatch Front?
70.
80.
82.
Okay, no one gets the prize. 75% lives in the Wasatch Front. Nobody. So do the math. How many don't live on the Wasatch Front? 25%. So I was up at the One Utah Summit yesterday, and it was packed at issue, 300 plus members. People in this room were there, and it's all talking about rural Utah. So the 25% has a lot of conversation and influence and things happening in the state. It's an exciting time to live in rural Utah. With that, I wanted to ask you what the largest city in Utah is. And what's that population? You got it right. Good job.
1.1 million. 200.
193,000 people live in Salt Lake. What is the smallest city, town in Utah?
Springdale.
Okay, keep going. There are 23 people who live there, and it's increased dramatically in 5 years. It used to be 15. Schofield, Utah, 23. I bet all the adults are on the city council and run the city. But how many counties are in Utah? You can't answer. How many counties? 29. Raise your hand if you got it right. They get a candy. Okay. How many female mayors are there in Washington County?
2.
3.
Who said 3? You got it. 3. Good job. And then the last question was, what does it take to become a city? How do you become a city?
Charter.
Who said it? Charter. Where does the charter go?
Somewhere over here.
Yes. And then what is the document? What's the founding document that enables them to have the power? Yeah, I was thinking Mike Lee might have this in his pocket. Since he's from Utah, he should. I think someone should ask him that next time.
Constitution.
And what's Utah's? The Utah Constitution. So that's what gives us the authority to incorporate and to make towns and charters. So those are my questions, but I have another question. When you talk about city government and the role, what are the levels of government from the top to the local level in our country? What are those for?
Federal, state, county, local.
Right. Thank you. She gets another treat. Should I get my candy giver on it? Okay. So what does federal government do? What are a couple things that come to mind? What are the roles of federal government? Okay, we're constructive here. What? Army, military. What else?
Interstate commerce.
Okay, good. What else? Taxes. Good. Okay. Something else that I quite enjoy. In fact, we're really blessed to have so many of these around us because it economically benefits us. What does the federal government take care of?
Land.
Our parks. Yeah. Okay, what does the state do? What's the primary role of the state? Evidently, he's doing a pretty good job. What is our state responsible? What are the services? What do they provide? Education.
Fire.
Huh?
Police and fire.
Thank you. Some of that, right. Okay. What else do they do?
Too much.
Health and
Health and Human Services and our elections. Christy Pike. And our elections. So important roles. What does the county do? Most counties, not all. What do they provide for us? Sheriff? Fire. A lot of them do waste and water, unless that's within the cities. Yeah.
EMS.
Property taxes. That's a big one. Great. So what do cities do? Everything else, right, Mayor? Everything else. So we'll talk a little bit about those services. So as mentioned a little bit in that embarrassing bio, my claim to fame my entire life will be the building of Park Discovery. I was a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids. I had a brand new infant, and I had a friend knock on my door who was frustrated. We lived in Cedar City, and there wasn't a playground. There was one wood playground in the entire town. And if you know, you all live here. Winter is long in Cedar City. And our public playground was the McDonald's playland. That's where we were, raising our kids all winter long in the playland. And we actually spent every Monday for a year in that playground, building and designing and dreaming a park. And she knocked at my door and asked me to be the general coordinator of that, and I did it. And it was the best education I could have ever received to what local government can do from both the citizens and then later becoming involved in the running of that local government. We are in a position here today as citizens, and especially as Republicans, to really lean into the role and your role and responsibility to change your communities and your cities. There are so many ways to be engaged, and many of you are demonstrating that today just by being here. But there are ways for each of us in this room, and particularly as this is a women's club, for women to lean in and get engaged and influence not just the party, but the politics of our communities. And there is no better way to do that than on the local level. Your touch matters. So with that, what does a city do? What are the 6 things? Can you tell me what the 6 things a city does? Not services. Tell me what the role of the city is. What is the authority they have? So they have the authority to have an elected body that runs the city. Zoning, the ordinances to create the laws of the city, the zoning and the laws. They have the authority to do that.
Set a budget.
And to set it, but before we go to the budget, let's say, and to enforce those laws. That is the role of your city government, to set a budget, to do the taxes for that budget, and to make sure those services are provided. They also can do eminent domain, which is the most unpopular thing, and avoid it at all costs. And then the other ability to do bonds. So those are kind of the things. So as you deal with your political views and your thoughts about politics, I did want to go to services a little bit. Can you guys just shout out, what are the services city provides? Because I got up to 25 and I quit.
Water.
Sewer.
Trash.
Power. Airport.
Yeah. Buses, transportation, roads, trails, parks, it just goes on and on, the roles. And so I think my message today, as you guys leave and go back out into our amazing city, you can see the whole world's in love with our city, right? We are so fortunate to live somewhere like this. But in being involved, let's be constructive, and let's make sure that when we hold different levels of politicians and government responsible, that we really clearly understand and are educated as to what those roles and responsibilities are, because it will make you more effective as a citizen and also allow our leaders to be more effective in doing their jobs. And the last thing I wanted to end on is just saying how grateful I am, and I think all of us in the room, for people who run. It is getting harder and harder to get good people to run, because we need to be civil and kind and appreciative for those who are running, for those who are here in this room today, who are willing to lean in a really uncomfortable political landscape and try to make a difference because they feel they have something to offer. So with that, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, Nina, so much for that introduction to our government. So I'd like to take a little step outside of protocol really quick. In the back, we have Carrie, who is totally single-handed today. She is handling this whole luncheon for us by herself. So let's give her a hand. All right, so we have 9 mayoral candidates here today. And we wanted to give each of them a chance to address us and to tell a little bit about themselves. We told them that they could each have 2 minutes. I'm looking at the clock and thinking maybe 1 to 2 minutes. If they would introduce themselves, tell what is important to them as part of their campaign, as part of their vision for the city that they are a candidate for. So we had 9 of them respond. We're going to we did a random order for them to do this little 2 minutes. So if they would come up and do their 2 minutes, and then after their 2 minutes, then take a seat here for any time that might be left for question and answer at the end. So we will, now pay attention, candidates, because I'm going to say the order once, okay? So first will be Barbara Bruno from Springdale. Second, Ken Nielsen from Washington. Third, Michelle Randall from St. George. Fourth, Jacob Anderson from Rockville. Fifth, Mark Chambers from Springdale. 6, Nanette Billings from Hurricane. 7, Cress Staley from Washington. 8, Jimmy Hughes from St. George. And 9, Chris Hart from Ivans. So I'm going to turn the mic right now to Barbara Bruno. So give her a welcome, please. Hi, I'm Barbara Bruno, and I'm running for mayor of Springdale. Fortunate enough to have the endorsement of Stan Smith, who has served us for 8 years, and looking forward to continuing his good work and his good relationships with all of you. I'm originally from Price, Utah, down the road from Schofield, so I should have gotten that one. But lived in Salt Lake City most of my career, lived on the East Coast a little bit, and have been in Springdale, owned a house in Springdale for 9 years, lived there full-time for 2.5 after I retired. I retired from 22 years of being the Utah market manager for Herman Miller. You might know my local dealer, Mark Hendrickson of Hendrickson Butler. So I spent a lot of time in St. George working, as well as throughout the state of Utah. Worked with all state employees and representatives in that role. I think we do a really good job with our visitors. We get a lot. Sometimes we think we get too many in Springdale, and we bear the brunt of a lot of the visitation. You guys can handle it down here a little bit better than we can because we're so small. But I love the visitors. I love the experiences that they bring us and the taxes that they bring us. But my big focus as a resident is on the resident experience. I want to be the voice of the residents. I am currently chair of the Planning Commission. I've been on that Planning Commission since I moved to Springdale full-time in 2019. And we are working on changing some of the ordinances that are onerous or complicated or unenforceable, trying to make it a little friendlier for our residents. I'm also working on some amenities like a full-time medical clinic. Currently, we have a very small one that's open part-time, looking for a new post office, working with some of the owners of properties on SR9 that are not doing so well. We've got a few empty buildings and things like that. So I'm really trying to provide some amenities for residents and improve that experience while supporting businesses. Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. I did forget to mention one thing. I can say this because I'm married to one, okay? Politicians tend to be long-winded. Okay, so we actually have a timer going. They have at the most 2 minutes, and they'll get a timer, and if they don't
Hold this up. So
stop,
we'll just see a
she'll
time.
hold this up, and if you don't stop, she's gonna stand up until you do, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be here and to present our wares to you, if that's the right way to say it. Ken Nielsen. I'm the incumbent in Washington City. I've served 3 terms. Some people think that might be a little too much, but I think I've got enough horses and desire to keep going. So I've been married 40 years to the sweetheart of my life. I have 3 children. One works for the federal government who monitors everything that you do. His security clearance is 2 below the president. So that's kind of spooky, okay? When I was elected mayor in 2010, my brother said, well, what are you going to do now? And I thought about it, and I said, I'm going to try and help out as many people as I can. That's my philosophy of mayor. I'm going to help out as many people as I can. We have challenges, we have issues, we have all that, ladies and gentlemen, we do. But I personally am going to help people. I have my mayor's notes that I've kept for 11 years. 2 thoughts. Bring people together and find ways to get things done. We don't have a future together. We don't have a future. We are charged to build and preserve our communities and to try and make our communities better. That's what my goal is as the mayor of Washington City. Thank you.
I'm Michelle Randall. I'm currently serving as mayor of St. George. I was appointed by the city council, those who work with me and know me best, on January 21st of this year to fill in the remainder of Mayor Pike's term when he resigned to go work with Governor Cox's administration. Prior to that, I was on the city council for 7 years and truly enjoyed serving there. I'm married to Tony Randall. Next month we'll be married 37 years. I had to think about that for a second. We have 4 children and 9 grandchildren. I am very fortunate that all of my children live in Washington County. They're all homeowners here. I was lucky they got homes before you couldn't afford it right now. So I get to have all my grandkids close by. What I love about being mayor is meeting so many new people. And I keep a journal. And as of today, I've attended 492 meetings, and I have returned phone calls, emails, and text messages to 417 residents. I will meet with anybody, anytime. So I am putting in full-time hours to a part-time job, but I have the time to do that. And I think it's important to listen to the citizens. I am the conduit between the city and City Hall. And that's what I pride myself in. I want to maintain the wonderful quality of life we have here. Why do you think everybody wants to move to St. George? We have an amazing quality of life. When I talk about quality of life, I mean keeping us safe. I mean keeping us clean, our city clean, safe, the infrastructure in place. We have water issues. We have all those issues. But like Kenny said, working together, we can solve those things. It's not insurmountable. And closing, I'm done. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There are many in here who are breast cancer survivors. Diane, I'm looking at you. Ladies, please go get your mammograms. Caught my cancer early and saved my life. Please do that.
I'm Jacob Anderson. I'm running for mayor of Rockville. I'm a husband and I'm a father of 5. 4 of my kids attend the local Springdale Elementary School. As a candidate for mayor, I've been invited to a few events, and as mayor, one of the first things I'm going to figure out is I've gotten the dress code backwards almost every time, completely overdressed last time, and I wasn't going to make the same mistake this time, and then I walk in and just made the opposite mistake. But Rockville is a unique town. It consistently votes Democrat in the elections, which is an anomaly for this area. I come from a small town background in southeast Idaho, a town of only a couple hundred residents, similar to Rockville. And we, like Rockville, have a desire to remain agricultural and remain as keep that piece of history with us forever. But when you do that, you have to make a couple of decisions. Do you get together as a town and as a community and decide how do we promote the things we want to promote collectively together? Or do you take away all the rights of the citizens and decide that the government is the only one that can decide what we want to do and be so afraid of something changing that you disallow everything? I believe we need to work together collectively as residents and members of a town to determine what we want to become, embrace change to make sure we become what we want to become. Giving citizens freedom is always the right answer. Taking it away just to try to keep what we have, while it sounds good and the people making those decisions are good people, that is something that I clearly disagree with. I think we need to give power to the people and then work together as residents, because it does 2 things. 1, it allows us to build a town that we want to build, and 2, it builds unity.
Hi, thank you for giving me an opportunity to introduce myself. I'm Mark Chambers and I'm running for mayor of Springdale. I'm a 5th generation Utahn. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City. I graduated from Cottonwood High School and the University of Utah. I'm starting my 13th year in Springdale. In 2008, we stayed at Under the Eaves Inn, fell in love with it and with Springdale, and decided to make Springdale our home. I'm a business owner and a resident who cares about our town and has actively participated since 2009 in our community. I have over 40 years of administrative and strong fiscal background working for the Sundance Film Festival and the Utah Symphony and Opera. I was president of the Design Arts and Humanity Council for 5 years. We took the organization from the red to the black, had a full board, strong attendance, setting the stage for Z Arts to win the Governor's Leadership in the Arts Award. I will work hard to maintain a small and planned growth for our community, and I will make communication from the town easily accessible and transparent. One of the ways we can do that is trying to get people involved. We put out our agendas for our town council meetings and our planning commission meetings on Friday for the following Wednesday. There needs to be more time for people to know about it, to investigate it. So I'd like to add another week in between that. That's one way to get people involved. I'm the only mayor candidate that has actual experience serving on town council. I served on town council from 2012 to 2018, and I was mayor pro tem for 2 years. It's important in these times that we have somebody who can walk right into the job. I have the experience, I have the passion, I have the integrity, and I have the communication to do it. And once again, thank you for the invitation to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Nanette Billings, and I'm running for Hurricane City Mayor. I am excited to be among Republican women, and it's difficult to run a campaign, being vulnerable and doing this, and so I appreciate the support from other Republican women. I'm really excited about running for mayor at this point. I've been on the council a couple of years, and you see the real issues in a city when you are on a council. I agree. So I feel like the mayor, you have to cast a vision. You have to help others see that vision, and then you can implement that with your council, and it's really important to have that. I think one of the most important parts about the mayor position is helping people, that you build that community so they feel like you're all a community together, you're working together and uniting. I have a few flyers that I'm going to set out here, but I just want to tell you a few of the things that are important to me. One is conservative values. I feel like we have to stand up and lead out. It's okay for us to stand alone, which I have before. Also, always listening to other constituents. Everyone in the community has something to tell you, and they are of value. It doesn't, like as a mayor, you're not going to have the vote, but you are listening to them, you bring it back, and you help other people on your council to see that. Supporting businesses is so important. We have to have that tax base, and I am so grateful for the businesses we have, and not changing their commercial zoning is really a big issue for me, and I want to make sure that I lead out on that. We've had a lot of our council members vote to change our zones, and we need that tax base, and we also need a place for people to work where they live. And probably last, I just want to say that I really support sustainable growth, following our master plan, and really being able to take care of those, the residents that are wanting to live here. Anyway, I'm asking for your vote if you live in Hurricane on November 2nd, and I'm Nanette Billings.
I'm Chris Staley. By raise of hands, how many live in Washington City? I just need to gauge how nervous I should be. By raise of hands, how many know people who live in Washington City? And we'll talk that, okay, now I'm nervous. Okay. So each of us running for office, we have a desire to serve the public. That's our job. That's the job we're running for. Your job is to determine which candidates are the most prepared and have the most ability to serve effectively. So I hope that you're taking your job serious, because I know if I'm elected, I'll take mine very serious too. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Washington into a farming and agricultural family, so I understand hard work, I understand water. I served in the Utah Army National Guard for 8 years. I salute the flag. I understand what it means to fight for freedom. I graduated from Southern Utah University with a degree in accounting, so I understand finance and numbers, and I'm committed to discipline and municipal budgets. I'm a successful small business owner for over 20 years with the time and flexibility to be a full-time committed mayor. I'm a current city council member of 5 years and a prior planning commissioner, so I understand what it means to serve in representative leadership. I understand land use. And last, I'm a registered Republican. I'm also a state and county delegate. I'm forward-thinking and conservative. Washington City is the fastest growing city per capita, in the fastest growing county, in the fastest growing state in the nation. From 1990 to 2000, we doubled our population to 8,000 people. From the next 10 years, from 2000 to 2010, we doubled again. And from 2010 to 2020, we doubled one more time. So the number one challenge we face on the east side of the county is to not let our growth outpace our ability to provide infrastructure and public services. What do I mean by that? I mean supporting police officers, firefighters, first responders, letting them do their jobs to sustain law and order. I mean public services like water, power, sewer, roads, and lastly, public spaces and general plan. Thank you. My time's up. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy Hughes, current city council member and running for St. George mayor. I do fit that definition of being from here. I was born just up the road in when St. George was about 7,500 people. I could sit here now and just say amen. Of course, Mayor Hart will clean up, but one of the things that I tell people about me and my service to the community is it is really that, it's service. I'm a business owner. I'm a father of 5. I'm married to my wife, Tanya. More about that in just a second. I took a little jaunt and left St. George and tried to go to California to find whiskey, women, and gold. We found none of those there and came back here to St. George. Quite frankly, I could say amen to Nina. It's Nina, not Nina, right? And to what she shared with us at the first of this meeting about the civility in politics and where we've gone astray and we don't have normal people running for office. So that's the reason why I'm here. I started preparing to run for mayor about a year and a half ago at the request of most of the current city council members. I've served as mayor pro tem. As a business owner, I feel like I'm well prepared for that. What I would share with you, and to keep time short, is just so you can understand the intelligence that I have, and I want an intelligent mayor. I made the best decision of my life, since we're here with Republican women, when I married that gal over there. And when you vote for Jimmy Hughes, you get her as well, okay? When she's I would say my right-hand man, but she's my equal, she's my superior, and we have the privilege of working together. Many of you, there's a few of you in here have had the unfortunate opportunity to work with us, and you come to the mortuary and it's all great and I do a good job. And then there's Tawny. We love this place because of Tawny, right? Yeah, shaking their heads. So just know that I'm a very blessed person. I love this community and I'm happy to serve.
I'll be around in a couple of minutes to pick up any remaining plates. I'm the cleanup guy here. My name is Chris Hart. I'm running for mayor of Ivins City. My wife Sandy and I have been married 50 years next June, and we have 4 children and 18 grandchildren that are the treasures of our life. I'll never forget the experience of coming down from Idaho Falls looking for land to develop. And driving around the county with our broker, we ended up in the Winchester Hills area and then turned down Snow Canyon, which was just astonishingly beautiful to me. And at the mouth of Snow Canyon, we came out into Ivins, little old Ivins, beautiful little Ivins. It was love at first sight for me. I've loved it with all my heart ever since. And I've done all I could to try and help my city along. I've served on the Planning Commission, committees before that, the City Council, and then was elected mayor almost 12 years ago. I've presided over a time of transition in Ivins City. We went from being a little town with not so great a reputation to being one of the premier areas in the county now to locate. We had nothing in the way of commercial when I got there, and we're on the verge of having some really significant resort development take place in our city, which we're very proud to have attracted. So I've presided over the Southern Utah Veterans Home coming into our community, Rocky Vista University College of Osteopathic Medicine coming into Ivins, and several other amazing things, Fire Lake Park, and some astonishingly beautiful roundabouts, I must say. But I think I'm as proud or more proud of the fact that we have solidified a general plan, recognizing that that's a living document, but we have a clear idea of who we want to be when we grow up. And we have, oh boy, we've got our ordinances aligned with that to preserve our night sky, our magnificent vistas and so forth. So for an old guy, I feel pretty good. I think I've got 4 more years in me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, candidates. We have some questions. We know that we're short on time, and so we're going to do this rather quickly. They gave me the top 3 questions, but these top 3 questions were asked by several of you. And so I'm going to take those 3, I'm going to combine it into one question. And then Mayor Randall has to leave, and so we're going to give her a chance to respond first. And then she has another commitment she needs to go for. And then we're going to let any other candidate respond to this question. Okay, so all of your questions into one question. It goes like this. I'm thinking. Okay, they're all related to growth. And so with growth of any of our cities in our county, consider water issues, consider affordable housing, and consider transportation issues. And we're going to give you 30 seconds to cover all that. Okay, we'll give you 1 minute. Okay, so we'll give you 1 minute to cover that. Anybody that wants to speak to that, we'll give you 1 minute. And then after that, we will kind of officially end the meeting, but you are welcome to stay as long as you would like, all of you, to talk to them individually. Is that okay with everybody?
Okay, I just need a show of hands here. I know some people have to leave right at 1. So if you would like to stay for a little bit longer and do a public Q&A for a little bit longer, will you just raise your hand so we know if we can go over? Okay, so we'll plan on going over long enough to answer a few more of these questions. We started a little late, so we'll go over a little bit, but if you need to sneak out at 1, you can. Yeah,
I have to sneak out. I'm sorry. I'll try to do this as I'm making my way over there to get my stuff and leave it. Right now, the city of St. George is working on a master general plan that will address our future for the next 20 years. With that is water, with that is infrastructure, with that is attainable, affordable housing, all wrapped into one. I'm now on the Water Conservancy District Board. Next month, we will be having a water summit with every city council in the whole county. A lot of you don't know that yet, but we will be, and to address our water concerns, because we know without water, we cannot grow. If we can't grow, we're in big trouble. So, sorry, I gotta run.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Thank you.
I wish I could.
Thank you, Michelle, for being with us. Thank you. Any other candidate that would like to address this big question? Okay, so Nanette and then Chris.
So growth is really tricky. It really is. But we can grow in a good way by following the plan. Hurricane just adopted a plan with $90,000. And it's really important to recognize that I'm not smarter than the planners that helped design it. And that's actually kind of reassuring to realize I don't have to be smarter. They designed this plan, and our citizens had input for over a year. So it's really important as you're developing this master plan in St. George to recognize citizens' input and that you want to have your say. And we had our say, and that's so beautiful. And I'm really, really grateful. And then we stick to that plan. Then as you're building, no one's upset and everyone's happy. The developers are happy because they know what they can build, and the citizens that are living next door, they're happy as well. I just want to address water really quick. The pipeline's a really huge issue, and I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It's our right to develop that water because we own that right in the state of Utah. It's through the Flaming Gorge. So I just want to tell you that it's really important, but if it doesn't happen, we still need to develop the water here. We have 156,000 acre feet of water underneath us, and that might be the next option, is just to tap into that. Thank you.
So I had the opportunity recently to go to what they call water school, and it was a retreat for a few days, and they had elected and appointed officials throughout the state addressing the seriousness of the drought. 16 of the last 20 years we've been in a drought, and one of my biggest takeaways was from the water district manager out of Las Vegas, Nevada. He presented on some of the things that they've done to extend and expand their water resources. But he put it like this. He said, "We live in a desert. Let's act like it." And I think that really sums up. So when it comes to water, the first thing we need to focus on is conservation. And we, from Washington and with the district and other municipalities, we've been preaching that throughout the county. I wrote an article on it back in February. When I looked at the numbers most recently from June through July, or June through August, Washington County Water Conservancy District members saved over 600 million gallons of water just by conserving. That means irrigating less. Lastly, I'll just say this since my time's up. This is a Ron Thompson-ism. He said, if you have water, you have a lot of problems. If you don't have water, you have one problem.
Just super quick, that's exactly right what Ron Thompson said. It's really about what water we have and what we want to do with it. We're at that point in our county where we have to wrap our arms around how much water we have. We've kind of acquiesced that to the water district. We've got to know what that amount of water is that we have, and then we got to start making the hard decision of where do we want to allocate that water. We're to that point. Without that, like Chris is saying, what Ron always said, we only have one problem if we don't have water.
What about the growth? Can you talk about the growth? Are you like pro-growth, we have to grow or we're in trouble?
We won't grow if we don't have water, but we always have to have if we're not growing, we're dying. The growth has to be managed.
What does that mean? We're dying.
So if, for example, what would happen to housing prices today if we said no more building permits? They're already sky high. So one of the things
we have a lot that hasn't been built yet.
I'm sorry. We'll have Q&A after they get a chance to speak, and then you can ask all of the questions you would like. Okay.
I thought that was part of the question. I'm sorry. The three things.
We will turn to audience questions in just a moment. Okay. Is there any other candidate?
Yeah. We often hear that we have challenges with water, and we absolutely do. But we have two paths. Our town of Rockville is much smaller, so the way we handle things are a little bit different. But there are two avenues you can take. You can say, water is a challenge, and so what is our plan to solve it? Or like what our town historically has done is use it to weaponize and say, we don't have enough water, therefore there is no growth. There have been people on the waiting list for the pipeline company for over 20 years with no movement, with no plan, and there really is no desire to fix the problem. The desires don't allow growth and use water as a weapon. And so when we look at water as being a challenge, our solution has to be, do we use it as a weapon? Do we allow it to take away our freedoms? Or do we develop a plan on how we can facilitate growth and be smart around conservation of water so that we can grow?
I'm just going to say really quick, we've had a lot of answers to water. So is there anyone that would like to speak to housing or transportation?
I'll tie it in, but it's important that all of us know that the district is looking at significant additional conservation measures that are going to be recommended to every city council to be adopted for new construction. I mean, severe. A number of these ideas are ones that I've been lobbying for a very long time, actually. So conservation is number one. We haven't done near a good enough a job with that through the years. The second thing is we need to educate and incentivize those who have large grassy areas and so forth, and make it possible, if they desire to do it, to change their yards. I do not believe in legislating retroactively and forcing people to change what they did back when they did it, when it was completely legal to do it that way. So water has to tie into growth, and you're going to see this coming out of the legislature, and I think you're going to see it happening here. We have to marry growth to water. Now, I dare say that when St. George ran out of water the first time in the 60s, if they just closed the door and said, okay, we're done, how many in this room would not be here? I dare say 90% of us would not be here. So I find some hypocrisy, frankly, in the notion that we just close the door. Because in the past, what has been done is that we've managed things better, we've developed new resources, and we've increased storage. And that's what we need to do again. We have a lot of water available to us through reuse, through treatment of our wastewater, and we need places to store it, and you're going to see the district doing that. That will make it possible for us to grow. And lastly, every one of your cities, I bet, has at least part of your debt, maybe a lot of your debt, connected to growth. So realize that if you decide to flip the switch, shut off growth altogether, your city councils are going to be scrambling to figure out how to pay their bills.
Would any candidate like to address the affordable housing issue? You just barely.
Well, you said.
Okay, all right. Is there anyone that hasn't spoken yet that would like to? There we go. We're going to try that. Okay, thanks, Ken.
Let me give you a shot at this. We have a big challenge with affordable housing. You all know that. That's not anything that it's not anything that's a secret. How do we handle it? I don't have the answer. I know people that have the answer. I have a thought. I think that we need to define personally what is affordable. Is it a $100,000 home? Is it $900 a month house payment? What is affordable? Okay, and then this is just Mayor Nielsen, all right? Then, we build all these apartments that are affordable housing, but I prefer that we build single family residences in our subdivision that allow young couples like new policemen, firemen, people that work in the fast food industry, the opportunity to assimilate themselves into a neighborhood. So say this house is $185,000. All the other ones are $300 or $400, you know how they are. But your neighbors don't need to know that house is an affordable home, okay? What they know is there's this cute young couple that just moved in, and let's get to know them. Let's assimilate them, and so this young couple gets the opportunity to meet these folks, or you, the Silvermans, fellow Lions members, Stan, whoever, okay? So they grow, they start having children, they outgrow their house. So what do? They put the house up on the market. Perhaps we have an opportunity this is where everybody needs to be involved. Landowner, developer, the bank, the real estate agent, the city, okay? Because everybody looks at the city and says, okay, just get rid of your impact fees. Okay, well, we'll do that to this home. The bank will not take any interest on this one. So when they sell that house, they get a percentage of it for another down payment. And everybody else that was involved with it gets a little cut too. So you want to talk to me more about it? You can talk to me more about it.
Thank you.
So I only want to weigh in because I've been a builder for about 55 years now and a developer as well. I will tell you that affordable housing, which we probably ought to call attainable housing, really, there's no such thing as affordable housing. All you can do, shrink the land, shrink the buildings, you make things more efficient, try and find ways to secure volunteer labor and so forth. There are not a lot of ways to do it. But the biggest obstacle to attainable housing is us. We had a planning commission meeting this past Tuesday. We had a room full of angry residents that we had a multifamily development coming into an area or proposed to come into an area where they lived. Until we as a community can get over that, we're not going to have attainable housing. And I will tell you this, the state legislature is poised to take away one of those city responsibilities that you talked about, that being land use authority. The legislature is ready to just remove that from us because all too often we cave in to the pressure that comes from the NIMBY community. Now, it's personal, right? Where I live is personal. I don't know that I would want that happening right next door to me either. But somehow we've got to develop a measure of tolerance and realize we're not bringing endless crime. Our cities have already planned the roads to handle that traffic. The arguments that typically show up and people just upset and angry about tend to be not realistic. At least a lot of them are not. High crime, no, that doesn't prove to be the case. We need to figure out how to incentivize attainable housing in the mix of other neighborhoods that may be otherwise not affordable, and bring these individuals into the community, not isolate them in behind block walls over in one corner out of our way.
Can I speak to that really quickly? When I hear attainable housing or affordable housing,
I shake my head a little bit. This isn't that difficult. If it's a problem we want to fix, it's fixable. I look at our town, we have most of the area, a lot of the areas, 20-acre minimum. In Rockville, right next to the park, that's going to be $1 million lot just right there. When we say affordable housing, it doesn't have to mean high-rise apartment buildings. It could mean letting people build 2 or 3 homes on a 20-acre lot. Towns have a minimum square footage for homes. If we say your home has to be so big and you have to be on a 20-acre lot, it's not going to be affordable. So this really isn't rocket science. It's something that on one hand we say we want to fix, on the other hand we don't do it. And so that's my thoughts on affordable housing.
We will continue with whoever would like to stay and ask them individually questions, but could we do a round of applause, please, for them? Thank you so much for them coming.
Okay, we are so grateful for everybody who came today. We're so grateful for our candidates. I think all of the ones who are still here have offered to stay for a few minutes afterwards here, so you are welcome to come ask them the questions. I just looked at our stack of questions, and literally like almost all of the questions fell in what we just addressed here. But if you have some other questions, you're welcome to come up and talk to them. Yes.
Krista, my suggestion, can we have the mayors from the different areas,
Yeah.
different cities,
Yeah.
go to different corners,
Yeah.
so everybody from
Yeah.
can go with that.
Okay, so I want to put St. George over here in this corner, okay? And I want to put Springdale and Rockville over here in kind of that middle space. There's nobody here. Okay, so I've got St. George going here. Let's put Washington City right here. And let's put Hurricane in this back corner over here, okay? So you can go talk to St. George over here in the corner. You can talk to Washington here in this corner. And Hurricane, you can talk over here if you'd like to. And Ivans, oh my goodness, I'm sorry. And Ivans gets this spot right here.
Hey, well, that's easy.
Okay, perfect. Very nice to meet
Like Washington.